Well, hello Popcorn TV. I'm happy to be here with Stephen, and Stephen is going to introduce me, and then you'll find out who I am. So Stephen, over to you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is of course John Levene, a famous Doctor Who actor, Sergeant Benton. It's an honour to have you here.
Oh, Steve, it's a pleasure. Well, you've obviously gathered I'm loving this tour. I don't think I've ever seen such wonderful Doctor Who fans. I know it's easy to say and words are cheap, but the passion in people of Perth, it's just been overwhelming. So I'm sitting here so full of joy at the fact that we've gone down so well.
Yes, well, I mean, obviously Doctor Who, very, very popular. You first appeared in the 1960s, not as Sergeant Benton. You were, I believe, a Yeti in The Web of Fear.
Yes, and a Cyberman in Invasion.
That's right, yes. So, yeah, I mean, first of all, how was it playing a villain in Doctor Who, one of these monsters?
Well, first of all, I mean, let me tell you, because it was my first job, you don't see or hear anything when you're inside the costumes. All you have to go by are the reaction of the people that are supposed to be trying to kill you. And I never dreamed that when I took the costume off, that 6 months later, the biggest director, as I told you, Douglas Camfield, came up and suggested me to play the part of Sergeant Benton because the chap that was going to play the part was late 4 days running. Now, I must say to all of you young people or old people watching this, punctuality is without question the essence of a good life. I mean, I'm early. I'm so early, I get to funerals before people die. So that's a bit extreme, but punctuality and the hard work, it was because I worked so hard. First there, last to leave, and that's why Douglas Camfield gave me the leading part as Benton. And to this day, I can't believe I beat 480 other actors to the part.
And certainly, and Benton was obviously a long-running part of the show. You got to obviously the entirety of John Pertwee's run as the Doctor, and then you got to work with Tom Baker as well.
2 stories with Tom, yes.
Yes. How was it working with, well, and obviously Patrick Troughton as well, when you were the Yeti? How was it working with these 3 really well-known actors?
Well, I'm known as telling the truth, and of course these days with so many cameras and so many recordings, I've noticed that telling the truth can bring you down. But let me tell you in the briefest terms, Pat was adorable because he was the first one I worked with, and I got on very well with Fraser. And how I started to become so popular on the set is because of my lack of arrogance or lack of big-headedness. In other words, I was so chuffed just to be there. And of course my humour carried us through the hard parts. So Pat Troughton just adored me because he said, oh, you make me laugh every day. And one day when I was the Yeti, Fraser Hines pinned a sign on my back. You know, we had a show in England called Simply Ballroom. And so Fraser and I did a quick step round Covent Garden. And that's when Pat realised that I had the potential to be an actor. Now, when he left and John Pertwee took over, that was when I was in heaven. John and I got on like a house on fire. And of course my parts got bigger and bigger. And the only problem I had with Tom is when he took over, he was so determined to make the show his own. People like myself were literally brushed to the side.
Right.
I don't mean it nastily, and I mean at my age now I wouldn't have given a damn. But his ego was so large that I personally couldn't cope with it. And nor could quite a few other people. But in terms of an actor and a doctor, absolutely bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
But as a person to be with, it got quite heavy. But after John, where do you go after John?
Exactly, it's difficult. With the obviously the newer series of Doctor Who as well, which has been running for about a decade now.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that series?
Well, again, Stephen, I can tell you, I thought Matt Smith was great, although I thought he was a bit too young to be the Doctor, but his acting prowess certainly took care of that. I thought David Tennant, next to John Pertwee, was the best I'd ever seen, simply because of the energy he put into it. Christopher Eccleston, who had a bit of a problem with the head people in BBC, he only lasted 1 season, but he was an electric Doctor and one of the best actors we have in Britain. And Peter Capaldi, my feelings are, and I'm echoing or reflecting the views of a lot of people I've spoken to, Stephen Moffat, the producer, seems to have gotten hold of something wrong. The stories are now I can hardly watch them. And Peter Capaldi, I feel, is fighting against the tide. As brilliant as he is, I've noticed even he's resorted to what I call the goggle-eyed performance because his dialogue has become so estranged from the stories. And I can't make head or tail of the stories.
Yeah.
Stephen Moffat, great writer, but as a showrunner, producer and writer, somehow the stories have degraded a bit. But that's only my opinion, and God knows. I mean, but the fans are leaving the show. There's quite people are leaving it in droves at the moment. So the next Doctor they choose, who I have no idea who it is, if I did I would tell you, but I have no idea. I don't think it'll be a lady. I don't think a lady would work as the Doctor, to be honest with you.
Right.
And that's not a sexist statement at all. But somebody did say Joanna Lumley would make a great Doctor. which I suppose they're right, you know.
Should be good fun at
Yeah,
the very
I
least.
wouldn't mind being in the TARDIS with her.
If they said John, you get to pick who the next Doctor is.
Oh,
who?
Stephen,
Yeah.
there are so many possibilities. The truth is, I wouldn't have an idea at the moment, because you'd have to look at that very carefully. There's an Australian actor who was put up for it, who was in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. The guy that was, he was the non-gay guy in the movie. Don't know his name, but he's got this lovely beard now, and that one of those great looks. Because you've got to have the look. It's all the look. The Doctor needs to have that look. But no, I can't answer that, but I can't wait to see who it is.
Yes, me too. And just to conclude, obviously you've got to play this Sergeant Benton part. You've had a very long and storied career.
Yes.
Is there a part or a production that you would love to be involved in, love to get your hands on now and perform?
Well, I'd love to be in something like the 100s. Some of these American shows now, because they're getting better writers. There's a couple of American shows I'd love to have been in. I'd love to have been with Dean Cain in Superman, because he's one of the nicest people I've ever met. I don't know if you've interviewed him yet, but he's an absolute dream. No, there are not many. I feel as though I'm 75 now. I feel as though I've done everything I could have done. But there is a rumour that they want to get me back, because the rumour is that if they had one of the unit people back in just one episode of one of the new stories, the viewing figures would simply jump to double the figures.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see John
Wouldn't it be
Levene
lovely?
in the new series. John Levene, thank you very much
Stephen,
for talking.
thank you very much for your time. Goodbye, everybody, and don't forget your popcorn.